These are the instructions for option number 1 for event number 1 for the compete from home level. This is called the traditional wall pass. Athletes have the option of wearing a mask as they complete this event, but they are not required to. To complete this event, you will want to make sure you have a wall that can be utilized that is hard and can withstand a ball bouncing off it multiple times without causing any damage to the wall. To set up this event, you will want to find that wall. On the wall, use painter's tape, as painter's tape will not damage a wall, to create a 3x3 square that is 3 feet off of the ground. Once you have that square marked, you want to go from the ground and measure 6 feet away from the wall. Once you have measured 6 feet away from the wall, you will want to create a 10-foot line running side to side away from that 6 feet distance from the wall. Now, to complete this event, the athlete will stand behind the line holding the ball. They will take the ball, make a chest pass, and attempt to hit it inside the square. After passing, the athlete, while staying behind the line, will attempt to catch the ball without dropping it as it returns. The athlete receives 5 attempts. You will award 3 points for every pass that hits the line or inside the lines of the square without bouncing first. You will then award 1 point for every ball caught as it returns to the athlete without them dropping it. So Dan, go ahead and give it a shot. So he would have received 4 points. 4 points. Good job, Dan. Perfect. Good job, man. So for every one of those, he received 3 points for the ball going and hitting inside the square and 1 point for catching. Well done, Dan. These are the instructions for the closer stationary pass. To set up this event, you are going to need a good spot that is at least 6 feet wide. So the first thing you're going to do to set up this event is you're going to find a spot on the ground and you're going to mark the spot on the ground. From there, you are going to measure 6 feet and then mark the next spot on the ground. To do this event, the volunteer and the athlete should stand in their respective spots, as you will see in a second. Then the athlete, starting with the ball, will pass the ball to the volunteer, and then the volunteer will pass the ball back to the athlete. This will be completed 5 separate times. To score this event, the athletes will receive 2 points for hitting the volunteer in the hands with the pass, regardless of whether the volunteer catches the ball or not. As long as the athlete hits the volunteer in the hands, they receive 2 points. On the pass back from the volunteer to the athlete will receive 2 points for catching the pass back, or they will receive 1 point for dropping the pass when it comes back to them. Now, if you guys would go take your spots. We have our coach or our volunteer that's going to go to his spot, and our athlete is going to go to her spot on the ground. And when they're ready, the athlete will pass to the coach, and the coach will pass back. Go ahead, Rochelle. So far they would have received 2 points for each pass caught, since neither of them dropped the ball. Okay, go ahead. These are the instructions for the stationary pass. The first thing you're going to want to do is mark a spot on the ground. So, as you can see, we have a spot marked on the ground. Next thing you'll want to do is measure 12 feet in a direction. So you'll want to go 12 feet, and maintaining your social distancing, mark another spot on the ground. To complete this event, you should have your coach or your volunteer stand in one of the spots. Go ahead, Thad. You should have your athlete stand on their other spot, so that's where Lori is standing. And to complete this event then, with Lori starting with the ball, since she's the athlete, she will pass the ball back and forth with Thad. Now the scoring for this event is for every time Lori passes the ball and it hits Thad in the hands, she receives 2 points. Then when Thad passes the ball back to Lori, so the volunteer passes the ball back to the athlete receives 1 point for dropping the pass or 2 points for catching the pass. So they can score up to 4 points on each pass back and forth. Now one thing to note is that the coach or volunteer for this event, as you can see on Thad's hands, will be wearing gloves during this event. And we want to make sure that we disinfect the ball between every single athlete for this event. And we are going to want to do 5 passes back and forth to complete this event. So Lori, go ahead and pass. And that's what the event should look like. These are the instructions for the assisted speed dribble. In order to set up this event, the first thing you're going to want to do is find a spot where it is at least 2 yards wide, and you're going to want to mark that spot. As you can see here, we've used cones. So we've set 1 cone, taken a tape measure actually, even though I just took steps. We took a tape measure, measured 2 yards wide, and then this is going to be our ending line. From there, you'll want to measure 10 yards, and when you get to 10 yards, you'll want to make another gate, or your starting line, that is 2 yards wide as well. Now in order to complete this event, we're going to have the athlete and the assistant line up at the starting line. As this is the assisted speed dribble, volunteers, coaches, or assistants can go through this course with the athletes in order to provide support. Now, the athlete and the coach will line up at the starting line, and their goal is to get from the starting gate to the ending line as fast as possible while still dribbling the basketball. If they lose control of the basketball, the athlete or the assistant can go and retrieve the basketball, but the clock continues to run. Now, in order to score this event, there is a chart available, so make sure you go and look at the chart in the rule book that is available on the Special Olympics Montana website or with your coach. Now, one thing to note as you complete this event is that coaches or assistants that are helping with this event need to be wearing a mask if they are within 6 feet of an athlete. The athletes do not need to wear the mask as they complete this event. Now, for athletes utilizing a wheelchair, so our athletes who aren't going to be dribbling and walking, athletes utilizing a wheelchair, you will do 2 pushes for every 2 dribbles as you complete this event until you finish the course. So Heather and Rhoda are going now to show us how to do the assisted speed dribble. So go ahead and begin when you guys are ready. As you can see, Rhoda provides assistance for Heather if she needs it, but she's doing a great job. And then, based on the time it took Heather to complete that course, you would use the chart in the rule book to write down Heather's score. Good job, guys. These are the instructions for the speed dribble. To set up this event, first you're going to want to find a spot that is at least 2 yards wide. You are going to want to mark this spot with tape or with cones, as we have done here in the video. If you have something else you'd like to mark the spot, that is a-okay, such as chalk or perhaps a string, as long as the string is on the ground, because we don't want anyone to trip. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to measure 10 yards in one direction. So as you can see here, we have measured 10 yards, and at the end of that 10 yards, you're going to want to make another starting gate that's 2 yards wide. As you can see, we've made it with cones. So this is going to be our starting line, and this is going to be our finish line. Now to do this event, you're going to have the athlete line up at the starting line with their ball. The goal for the athlete for this event is to dribble from the starting line to the finish line as fast as they can. So you should have somebody timing this event. To score this event, you are going to use the chart that is in the rule book and available, because depending on the amount of time it takes the athlete to get through the course is what their score will be. Now, if the athlete loses control of the ball, so the ball bounces off their foot or they just lose control in any other way, the athlete needs to go and retrieve the ball. So they're only using one ball for this event. Now, if they lose control of the ball, the clock continues to run. The clock continues to run until the event is completed. So now, Lisa is going to show us, when she is ready, how to complete this event. So the amount of time it took her to get through that course, you would compare it to the chart in the rule book, and that is the score that Lisa would receive for that event. These are the instructions for option number 1 for event number 3 for the compete from home level. This option is called the basket shot. To set up this event, you'll want to place any basket, such as a laundry hamper or a storage bin, on the ground. You will then measure 6 feet away from the basket and mark this spot. This is the shooting spot. To complete this event, the athlete will stand on the shooting spot, where he is in the video, and he has 10 attempts to shoot the ball into the basket. There is no limitation on the style of shot used for this event. Examples are overhand shot, underhand shot, traditional basketball shot, or any other shot as long as the ball can get into the basket. To score this event, you will award 3 points for every shot that lands and stays inside of the basket. Now, athletes completing this drill, even from home, have the option of wearing a mask if they so choose, but they do not need to. Coaches, so long as they maintain a distance of 6 feet away from the athlete, do not need to wear a mask, but if at any point they close within the 6 feet social distancing guidelines, they do need to be wearing that mask. Also, if you have a coach or assistant returning the ball to the athlete after they shoot in this drill, you will want to ensure the coach or assistant is wearing a set of gloves. Go ahead, Dan, show us what's up. So as that ball went in the hoop, you received 3 points for that shot. He would receive another 3 for that shot as he continues to make them. Now, if he were to miss, he would receive 0 points, but as he has been making his shots, he would still be making 3 points for every attempt so far. Last one, buddy. Good job, Dan. These are the instructions for the garbage can shot. To set up this event, the first thing you are going to need is a 32-gallon garbage can, similar to what you would find in a school or an industrial setting. Now, to complete the setup, you're going to want to place that garbage can directly under the center of the hoop. From there, using a tape measure, you are going to want to measure 5 feet to the side of the hoop. So we've taken 5 feet, and from there, to find the first spot, you're going to want to move 3.5 feet up. Once you've moved up 3.5 feet, mark that spot on the ground. The next spot, you're going to move 1.5 feet up. When you've moved up 1.5 feet, mark that spot. To find the next spot, you are going to move up 1.5 feet again and mark that spot. So you now have 3 shooting spots on this side of the hoop. So next you'll want to go back to your garbage can, and from the center of your garbage can or your hoop, you'll want to measure 5 feet to the other side of the hoop that you just got done measuring from. From there, you'll want to measure 3.5 feet up, and once you find that spot, mark that spot on the ground. Next, you'll want to measure 1.5 feet up, mark that spot. Then measure 1.5 feet again and mark that spot. So now you have 3 shooting spots on this side of the hoop as well, for a total of 6 spots. 3 shooting spots here and 3 shooting spots here. So your event is now set up. To complete this event, you're going to have the athlete take 2 shots from each spot. So in total, your athlete will take 12 different shots because they're taking 2 shots from all 6 spots. Now, to score this event, the athlete will receive 2 points for every shot they make inside of the garbage can. They'll receive 2 points for every shot made from this spot and this spot. So the closest spots, they get 2 points for every make. They receive 3 points for every make that comes from the middle spot. And they receive 4 points for every make that comes from the furthest spot. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if they don't make the shot, but they still hit the garbage can, they receive 1 point for hitting the garbage can and not making the shot. If they take the shot and miss the shot and miss the garbage can, they receive 0 points. Now, another thing to note is athletes can bounce the ball into the garbage can for this event if they desire. For this event, it's also going to be optional to utilize a coach to retrieve the shots and hold the garbage can to make sure the garbage can doesn't fall over as the athlete shoots the ball. But remember, if there's a coach handling the ball at any point, such as rebounding or taking the ball out of the garbage can and passing it back to the athlete, the coach needs to be wearing gloves, and we need to always be disinfecting the ball between every athlete. Now, if the coach, so Tashina is going to be our coach, if the coach is at least maintaining a social distance of 6 feet from the athlete, they do not need to wear a mask for this event. If at any point the coach is going to be within 6 feet of the athlete, they do need to wear their mask. Okay, so now we're going to have Pam, who's going to be serving as our athlete, take a shot from every single spot. So the ball went in. Good job, Pam. With the ball going in, she would receive 2 points. So Pam then move up to the next spot, and she would take her next shot. And since she missed that shot, not sure if the camera picked it up, she would receive 0 points. And Pam move up to the next spot then, and she would take a shot. And she made that one in, so she would get 2 points again. All right, Pam, so switch over here to the next, or she would receive 4 points for that one. Sorry, since that was from the furthest line. Okay, so Pam will start at the closest line and take a shot. And in that case, where she hit the basket but it didn't go in, she would receive 1 point. So take a step back, Pam. There you go. She's now at the middle spot. She shot it and made it. Nice job. So with that make, she would get 3 points since that was made from the middle spot. Take a step back. And that one was going to go over before Tashina hit it. So for the miss and not hitting the back or not hitting the hoop, she would receive 0 points for that shot. So after she has done that from each spot, you would have her go do it from every spot 1 more time. These are the instructions for the spot shot. To set up this event, you're going to want to make sure you are using a traditional 10-foot rim. Now, to begin setting up, from the center of the hoop, you'll want to measure 5 feet in one direction. When you find that spot, you'll want to measure 3.5 feet up and then mark that spot on the ground. From there, you'll want to measure 1.5 feet up,
mark that spot, and then measure 1.5 feet up again and mark that spot. You now have 3 shooting spots from this side of the hoop. When you're done with those 3, go back to the center of the hoop and measure 5 feet the opposite direction from where you just measured. Once you have measured 5 feet, you'll want to measure 3.5 feet up and mark that spot. Then measure 1.5 feet, mark that spot, and measure 1.5 feet again and mark that spot. You now have 3 shooting spots on this side of the hoop. So in total, you have 3 here, 3 here, and that is 6 different shooting spots. Now to complete this event, you're going to have your athlete take 12 total shots. So they will be taking 2 shots from each spot. Now for the 2 closest spots to the hoop, your athlete will receive 2 points for each shot they make. For the second or the middle line, they will receive 3 points for each shot they make. And for the line furthest away from the basket, they will receive 4 points for every shot they make. Now, if the athlete misses the shot, but is still able to hit the backboard or the rim, they will receive 1 point. If they shoot and miss the backboard or the rim, or don't make the shot, so in other words, if your athlete shoots and has an air ball, they receive 0 points for that shot. Now, if you have a coach, it is optional, if you have a coach help retrieve balls for this event, you want to make sure that your coach is wearing gloves at all times. Now, if your coach is always going to be 6 feet away from the athlete competing in this event, they do not need to wear a mask. But if your coach is going to go within 6 feet of an athlete, they do need to wear a mask for this event. Now, for this example, we're going to have Jaylee take a shot from each spot, but she's going to retrieve her own ball as if she didn't have a coach here to help her. So Jaylee, go ahead and take a shot from each spot. So she made that, so she would receive 2 points for making a shot from the closest line. Now at the middle line, she made that, so she would receive 3 points. Now from the furthest line, she made that, so she would receive 4 points. There you go, from the other side, Jaylee. Perfect, so she's from the close line. She made that one, so she would receive 2 points. From the middle line, she made that one, so she would receive 3 points. Now from the furthest line, she hit the rim in the backboard but didn't make it, so she would still receive 1 point for that shot because she did hit the rim and the backboard.
These are the instructions for all 3 options for event number 4 for the compete from home level. Option number 1 is a 20-yard roll or coach-assisted walk. Option 2 is a 40-yard traditional walk, and option 3 is a 60-yard traditional run. To set up this event, or all 3 of these options, you will want to either mark a spot on the ground as your starting line, or mark a starting gate that is 2 yards wide. For the 20-yard roll or coach-assisted walk, you will want to measure 10 yards away from that starting spot. This will be your course for your 20-yard coach's roll or coach-assisted walk. For option number 2, you will want to measure 20 yards away. That will be the course for your 40-yard traditional walk. For option number 3, you will want to measure 30 yards away from your starting spot. This will be the course for your traditional run for 60 yards. As you can see, we have all 3 distances marked for this video. Now for option number 1, when using an assistant coach for the coach-assisted walk, you will want to make sure that your coach is wearing a mask for the entirety of this event, as they are within the 6 feet social distancing rules. The athlete, since they are competing, does not need to wear a mask for this event. to score this event, you will want to make sure you are timing the athlete as they complete this event, no matter the option. There is a timing chart provided in the rule book. There is a timing chart provided in the rule book that will help you guys score and then put your scores down on the final score sheet for your athletes. First, we are going to show you guys the 20-yard roll or coach-assisted walk with our guest doggo that has come to watch the event and be a fan. Be a fan of our athlete Dan, who's here helping us today. So guys, when you're ready, go ahead and start and show off that 20-yard coach-assisted walk. So as you can see, the coach would be providing balance assistance if needed with the athlete. Once the athlete reaches that 10-yard cone, they would turn around and come back to the starting spot. When they reached that starting spot, you would stop the time, and that is the time that you would give the athlete on the final score sheet. Now, for option number 2, Dan is going to go ahead and show us the 40-yard traditional walk. Go ahead, Dan. So as you see, he goes 20 yards while walking. When he reaches that cone, he can round that cone or stop on a dime and turn around, and then he will walk back to the starting line. When he reaches that starting line, you will stop the clock and use the chart in the rule book and instructional guide to give him his time. Now for option number 3, Dan, when he's ready, will go ahead and run down to the last cone. Go ahead, Dan. He gets down, he can stop and turn or round it. And when he reaches that start cone again, you will stop the timer and use the guide in the rule book and instructional guide to give Dan his time.